You're listening to Straight from the Drafts. I'm your host Nao, social media strategist, business cheerleader and chronic oversharer. In this weekly voice note from me, you can expect actionable insights and behind the scenes stories, my best tips and all the encouragement, all with the goal of helping you plan your content with confidence so that you can turn your goals into reality with the support from your social media. So grab a drink, pop in your headphones and let's get into this week's episode. Today's episode is sponsored by Invisalign. I wish, but I did have to give a shout out today to my Lisp who has joined us for this episode because I was silly enough to change to my next aligner last night and my goodness me, I am struggling to speak today. It's actually quite sore to speak today. Never mind. So if I sound a little different, that is what's going on. And if you can't hear a difference, then that's cool. That is just a fun little intro story for you that I am currently on Invisalign and my mouth really freaking hurts. Today's episode is actually a bit of a mindset and social media combo, my two favourite things. And I wanted to share 5 mindset shifts with you that either myself or my clients have had to get the most out of their social media. But let's start the episode with a DM dilemma. This one's from Rach and she's asked, what's your biggest tip for small business owners that want to build a personal and a business brand on social media? This is a juicy question and there's a few routes that I feel like I could go down with this one, but I'm going to go down the mindset route. Shocking, I know, given the theme of this episode, but I will park this question and dive into it in more detail on a later episode, I think, because this is a good one. So what would my biggest tip be for someone wanting to build both a personal and a business brand on social media? My absolute biggest tip that comes before strategy, before content planning, is always mindset. Particularly for the personal brand side of things, you have to be really solid in who you are and kind of focused on that in order to really build your personal brand. It's something that I actually talked a little bit about in my content last week, about trying to not try to be cool, to be someone else. It's actually really hard. We consume so much and we get inspired by other people. So when we see someone else who we deem to be successful, or maybe they have some of the things that we want, it's much easier to imitate them than it is to show up as ourselves. And that's not always intentional. It's not always something that we're doing consciously, but it is something that I find myself having to actively pull back from that and check in with myself and make sure I'm not doing that. And I see other people do it as well. They'll send me content and be like, this is so great. And they think that the only way that they can then grow is to imitate that style of content. So working on yourself, building that confidence muscle, and I really do think that it is a muscle. It's like anything else. It's something that you have to train and keep working at. Thinking about the things that make you unique and not getting caught up in a comparison trap with others. I think that's really important because the fastest way to make yourself feel like shit and shrink yourself online is to overconsume other people's content, even if at first glance you're telling yourself it's inspirational. So with that, let's get into the 5 mindset shifts that have helped me and my clients so that you don't just survive, but thrive on social media. So shift number 1, seeing that selling is a service. This is one of my favourite mindset shifts, and it's something that I personally have really worked on over the years, and it's one that I find myself reminding my clients of a lot. One of my pals, Ellie, actually said something at the retreat where we met almost 2 years ago, and it stuck with me on this theme. She was saying, isn't it like so interesting that the thing that you hate doing will be someone else's dream job, and your dream job is someone else's idea of hell? And I think we were talking about how she loved going to the post office, and the person that she worked for at the time thought that that was the worst task ever. So I almost felt like guilty asking Ellie to do a post office run. And she was like, are you kidding me? I would love to get paid to go and do a little parcel run. And an example for me would be that a lot of my clients hate editing reels, and they have the ideas. They don't particularly dislike social media as a whole, but editing reels takes them 2, maybe 3 hours, and it's something that they find super fiddly and they get really annoyed. Now, social media management is, of course, more than just editing reels, but I don't hate it. So if I can take that off someone else's plate, then that is a huge win for them. And it's not just about the time that I save them, but also it might be the thing that keeps them in a good mood by not having to do that, or it stops them from snapping at their kids in an evening because they're trying to multitask. And also, when you're avoiding selling because it feels icky, or you're worried that you're being annoying, just a reminder that if someone follows you or they find you on social media, it's probably because they want to. It's probably because they were going out of their way to try and find you and to look for what you offer. They have the free will to unfollow, but they are looking for exactly what it is that you sell. And if they're new to your page and you're not waving the flag right in front of their face, they might not know that you have that service that they're looking for. So you're stood there with the perfect offer that they're looking for, but they just don't know you do it because you're shying away from talking about it. Or they might assume that you're fully booked because they might have been following you for a while and you've never once mentioned your services. A side note here, but our attention spans are so small when we're scrolling. I mean, in life generally, but particularly when we're scrolling. It's genuinely a helpful reminder if you actually talk about what it is that you do and how people can book in with you. I am, ironically, a nightmare for this. I don't find selling icky anymore because I do completely believe that selling is a service, and I can really rationalise that I'm not demanding money, I'm just letting people know what I do. But I am terrible at reminding people of how they can work with me. So if I'm fully booked for management clients, for example, I then very rarely will think, oh, well, I can focus on talking about strategy calls and let people know about that service. I am so good at being strategic for my clients, but I am terrible at taking my own advice. So please know that this is all said with love and been there, done that. But the point is that if you can get over the ick of selling and realise that actually you're just shortcutting someone's journey by being really obvious about what you do and how people can get booked in, and save them the faff of trying to figure it out and wondering, oh, are you the right person for me? And then going off on a side quest and looking at 4 other brand designers because they weren't sure whether you had any availability. If you can get over all of that and just show up and talk about what you do, being a business owner on social media feels a whole lot lighter. Shift number 2, moving away from the belief that your industry is too saturated. Because do you know what we're all terrible for on social media? Following too many people within our own industry. And you know what the algorithm is really good at doing? Showing you more content like the stuff that you interact with. So when you think that Instagram is full of other brand designers, other mindset coaches, other insert job title here, it's because you're in a bubble. There are millions of accounts on Instagram, that is fact. But your ideal clients are very unlikely to be following 23 other brand designers, see your content and think, oh, I couldn't possibly make it 24. I already follow enough. Also, I would like to ask, what does this belief add? You've already started your business, right? You're on social media to market the business that already exists, or maybe you're thinking about getting started, but I'm guessing if you're listening to this, you at least have the initial concept. You've already got the business idea. You think it's a good idea. You spotted a gap. Maybe you disagree with the way that things are done in the industry, and you know that you lead with integrity and you can bring a better, positive approach to it. Or maybe you know loads of people who do what you do, but nobody in your area. Or maybe it's simply just that nobody is you. So what does that belief of the industry being too saturated on Instagram add? What is the point? And I know mindset, like beliefs, it doesn't work like that. You can't just think, oh, well, there's no point, that's illogical. But I'm just going to ask you that question. Just play devil's advocate, except in this scenario, the negative voice in your head has the devil, and I am just trying to show you how unhelpful this belief is. Does it mean that you're not going to start the business? Well, no, because you're already here. So what does it add? Is it actually just a little negative Nancy voice that validates why it's okay that you didn't show up on Instagram today? I actually would throw another belief into this category, and that's thinking that the algorithm is flawed. Like, okay, is that helpful? No, it's not. Instagram and other social media platforms aren't perfect, that is for sure. But if we blame other creators for getting there first, or we complain about a flopped post, it doesn't help. A better use of our time would be to keep trying, to look for the differentiators, to understand what makes you different. Because nobody has your exact story, your personality, your values, and that is enough to differentiate you from others. But the caveat there is it's enough to differentiate you if you share it. When we get bogged down in thinking that these things, like the algorithm, are against us, or there's no way that I can stand out, usually that comes with the energy of kind of giving up. We stop showing up, or we don't show up with the same energy and same personality that we would do if we wholeheartedly believed in ourselves. And that comes through in your content, or lack of content. It is completely a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can't stand out if you don't show up and try. Sorry, that was a little bit of a rant there. That felt very negative, and I didn't mean for it to come across as negative, as a little rant, because I've had those thoughts and still do. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. We all know this. But I think sometimes it is just helpful having that little reminder, or someone holding up a mirror and kind of saying, like, this doesn't make sense, this is so silly. And you can kind of be like, yes, that is really silly. That is not helpful. As business owners, we're so busy. And I'm not saying you have to be productive all of the time, but let's not waste time going down these little spirals, because they're not helpful. They're not going to move the business forward. They're not going to help you show up better on socials. They're not going to make your content better. What's going to make your content better is getting to know what does make you different and stand really firm in that belief and understand that you do deserve to stand out, and knowing exactly why your ideal client would go to you over other people. Okie dokie, let's move on from my little ramble. And the third mindset shift is how you measure your success. This is mindset. It is also a practical one, but I do think even if you decide my measure of success is X, if actually you're still refreshing your reach on your reels every 5 seconds, there's still a mindset shift that needs to happen. So, question, right now, how are you defining success on socials? Do you have any metrics that you measure each week, each month? Because if you don't decide what success looks like, you never get to celebrate your success, because you never have that milestone to reach and remind you that you're doing great. And if you don't decide what success looks like, by default, you will always feel like you're failing. And you are not. When I have my client catch-up calls, I will always ask them what they're focusing on this month or for this launch. What does success look like? How many sales are you aiming for? How many booking slots do we have available? Then the content is generated and geared towards that. We measure the success of the campaign by those results and targets. For example, how many spots they sold in their group program. The reach, engagement, conversion of each individual post or story is then simply data. Data which tells us that maybe that messaging didn't resonate, or data which tells us that their audience really enjoyed that piece of content and we should probably reuse that messaging or format when we launch the offer again next quarter. And notice that I'm saying that we measure the success of the campaign, not my clients and not me. My success is not measured by my follow count. My client's success is not defined by how many eyes they get on their reels. And I can assure you that there are plenty of creators with stats that you're currently jealous of, who, if you saw behind the scenes and their sort of real life, you would not want to switch places with them. Your Instagram metrics don't hold as much meaning as you're putting on them. It's just data. Success is personal. Are you happy? Are you financially secure? Did you get to take time off and go on holiday with your family this year? Whatever is your definition of success for you as an individual is totally valid. It is so, so personal. But it is absolutely not measured in the data on your Instagram profile. Shift number 4. This one is a little bit silly, but honestly, coming from a gal who has had to battle more Instagram glitches than she can count, I promise it's a goodie. If Instagram isn't playing ball, give it a second go, and if it's still not happening, leave it alone. Treat glitches like a toddler throwing a tantrum. In my SOPs for me and my team, that is literally the rule. We try to repost one more time, and if it's still not working, we just hit pause. Give it some time to calm down. Nothing is urgent enough to be worth battling the tech gods and getting yourself all wound up. What I would also suggest, particularly if it's a reel that you're trying to create, save everything outside of the draft that you're building. So tap and save the audio, have the link to the audio if you can, save down a copy of the finished video, and have the caption typed out in your notes app or your project management tool, wherever you kind of plan your content, rather than just directly in the caption section of the post. Then if anything does go wrong, it's more of a little frustration rather than a, oh my god, I just lost 2 hours work situation. If you've been stung by a glitch more than once, then you'll understand the heartbreak. So protect future you and save down all of those different elements in case you need to recreate the post for whatever reason. I do this for me and my clients, which is really helpful in case for whatever reason, say I got really sick tomorrow and I couldn't post for a week. Everything is there in the client's Asana portal. They've got the audio links, they've got the raw video, they've got the caption, everything is there so that they could very quickly and very easily piece that content back together and post it. And also, if that scenario does then come up where Instagram is being glitchy, you can then just breathe, roll your eyes, and leave the toddler to throw its tantrum in peace. Social media throws enough mindset challenges your way, so don't add battling glitches to the list. I think we forget as well that organic social media content is free marketing. Of course, it takes a lot of time, so in that sense, of course, it's not completely free, but it's such a powerful tool and a great opportunity. It's also optional, so if you really hate it, don't use it. There are other routes that you can go down. As I'm saying that, I'm a little horrified at that suggestion. Does learning how to do SEO or paying for Google Ads feel any better? If not, we kind of have to embrace that these platforms won't always be perfect. Glitches might happen, posts might flop. It's very unlikely that one post will be the make or break of your whole campaign. So please don't lose sleep over it. And finally, number 5, ending with another one of my favourites. And bear with me because it sounds like the worst thing that you could hear as a business owner, but let this liberate you. Nobody cares as much as you do. Which means nobody cares as much as you do if you don't have a full face of makeup on when you show up on your stories, or if you're wearing the same outfit that you wore 2 days ago. Nobody cares as much as you do about your content. So they're not going to notice if you use the same B-roll video more than once or repurpose a caption into a post a few weeks later. Nobody is paying as close attention as you think. So be honest with yourself. Would you show up any differently if you weren't worrying about what people think? It's a bit like the fear of going to the gym. You worry that everyone is looking at you and judging your workout or the way you look. But really, everyone is so in their own bubble, they're not paying you any attention. They're focused on their own workout and their own insecurities. It also means that when you're thinking that you're repeating yourself too much, nobody is seeing every single piece of your content. And if they are seeing every story that you post, every reel, in this day and age when reach is pretty crap, then trust me, they are a super fan. They are going out of their way to make sure they're seeing everything. In which case, you're not repeating yourself too much. And we're just looping right back round to the first point where you're selling to the person who is looking for exactly what you've got to offer. And that brings us very nicely into a little recap of the 5 mindset shifts. So number 1, selling is a service. You're not being annoying, you're helping someone find the service that they're already looking for. Number 2, the industry is not too saturated and the algorithm doesn't hate you. These blame games are not helpful. Focus on getting confident on what makes you unique and lean into that so you do stand out. Number 3, knowing how to measure the success of your content. That's essential so that you can celebrate yourself and also avoid getting yourself in a spiral over your likes and follows. Number 4, Instagram glitches are pretty much inevitable. So be prepared, roll your eyes, and leave Instagram to tantrum. And finally, nobody cares as much as you do. And that's a good thing. I know that everyone loves to hate on social media, and it's something that I always laugh off whenever I'm at a networking event or just catching up with a new client. It's okay that it's not your favourite thing. That is literally why jobs like mine exist. But this week's cheesy quote kind of sums up this episode and how I feel about it. Being negative only makes a difficult journey more difficult. You might be given a cactus, but you don't have to sit on it. If you really want results on socials, embrace it. Try to see the fun in it again. Experiment. And with that, I hope you have a glorious rest of your week. Please do let me know if this episode has sparked anything for you, and I would also love it if you would share it with a business pal who might need to hear some of these reminders right now too. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back with another voice note next week. Bye!